You know, the amount of women that you meet is just unbelievable. Certainly can't get girls like this in the States. They'll come right up to you. You know, there's maybe, 200 or 300 women and maybe 20 or 30 guys. Girls would literally grab me and I'd be surrounded by them. There were a few points where I couldn't even get to the bathroom. It's the rock star experience. Another thing, the first day you get here, you land, you meet everyone that's here. By the time you get about 5, 6, 7 days in, you're friends with everybody. So you make a lot of friends here, and we're comrades here now.
Definitely. And if the guys are watching and they're this darn close,
jump in and swim. I saw her standing in front of where I was going to meet her, and as soon as I saw her, it was just the way she looked, her demeanor, it was just an amazing moment, and certainly the highlight of my trip. She was so incredibly beautiful and sexy, and I was like a magnet. I mean, I couldn't even see anyone else. It was just unbelievable. Book your flight, get out here, and...
Hey guys, good evening. Happy Monday. Glad you're here. This is our weekly Monday night live webcast. For those of you who have questions or would like more information about international dating and marriage. And my name is Bud, if I didn't say that already. If you're tuning in for the first time, thanks for being here. I hope you find this helpful and useful. I've talked to a bunch of guys in the last week who said that they, what am I, 30 seconds into this and it's already a distracting video, Kirk. You gotta quit doing this to me. He does it on purpose, I swear to God, just to throw me off. Wow. So anyway, we do this every week at this time to answer your questions around international dating and marriage. I've talked to a bunch of guys in the last week who have said that they've watched a number of my previous webcasts, and so I know the audience is growing. Look, here's one thing I know right now. I know that there are thousands of you. Actually, truthfully, there are tens of thousands of you guys out there who are lonely and sad and isolated and alone, and you don't have somebody in your life that all you want to do is just give your love, good, honest, pure, well-intended love to somebody. That's all you want to do, and you just don't know where to find that person. And you've heard about so-called mail-order brides. There are no mail-order brides. That's a complete myth, but that's what it's commonly referred to. You've heard about this kind of thing. Maybe you even know somebody whose wife is from another country. And the whole thing is really, really intriguing. So you go out on the internet and you do your reconnaissance. And what do you find? A lot of negative stuff, man. Whew, right? I mean, so much negative. But then there's, you know, that one positive thing or that positive thing, and then you just become intrigued, and that's why you're here. So good for you. I have been an international singles tour leader for about 20 years in one capacity or another. I've done a lot. In fact, since 2011, I've done 26 tours to Ukraine. I've done 6 or 7 tours to Russia, tours to Colombia. I haven't been everywhere, but I've seen a lot, and I just want to share with you my experience, you know, just attach that to your questions, and I want you to go out there and ask those same questions to other people, because I am just one beacon and one source of information. There are many, and every beacon has something to contribute to your growth and your education. When you find the beacon that gives you the most light, follow that beacon. It's as simple as that, and that could be me or anybody else. But for the time that we're here, if you'd like to ask any of your questions about what you're watching, our great videos, we got videos tonight from around the world, starting out with some videos of our socials. We talked about our singles parties, which are world renowned and a tremendous amount of fun because we bring literally hundreds of women to come out and meet our 30, 40, 50, or 60 guys on our tour. They love to come. We treat them really, really well. We represent you incredibly well with a ton of class and integrity, and the women just love to come into this environment and meet guys like you. And I love to watch that happen. So you're watching some video footage. As you're watching the video footage, anything you want to know about what you're looking at, just click the green box above me and ask me your question. Click the green box, send me your questions, monsieur, and I will answer them for you. I'll read them aloud for everybody. I'll answer them for everybody, and we'll do that for the next hour. Okay? Don't sit there in the dark, guys. Don't. Too many of you do that. You know that? You know what happens? I know that there are many, 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 many of you who watch but don't engage, meaning you watch and you're intrigued and the whole thing is so interesting, but you don't call, you don't email, you make no contact. How do I know? Because I meet you all the time on my seminars, on my tours. You know, you stop by the office. Bud, you know, I've been watching your videos for 6 months. Wow, really? We've never talked. Why wouldn't you call me up and talk and just, I'm sure you have questions, but you're afraid to ask those questions. And all that does, guys, is stall you. All that does is stop you. If you don't get your questions out there, you don't get answers. If you don't get answers, you don't go anywhere. Because there's no way that you're going to make progress if you still have those questions that set you back. So come on, dial it up. Give me your questions. I'll try not to be boring. I'll try and give you good, enlightened answers based on my 20 years of business in the international dating industry. We have some very exciting events coming up that I'll share with you in a little bit. We'll let the audience build so that I don't keep repeating myself. But we've got some really great upcoming singles tours for you around the world in Latin America, Asia, and Europe. I'll tell you about them. I'll tell you about some of our free international dating seminars, which we have coast to coast throughout the year. They're 4 hours long. We answer tons of questions, show you great video, break down the video. Good times. You walk out of the seminar with a head that's just dull from all the information that you've gotten, but you're pumped up because you understand at the end of our seminar that this is real, a truly real opportunity, that it is what we say it is, and it's definitely not what a lot of people say it is, and it's just going to leave you feeling completely empowered, completely ready to go out and meet somebody because you know what's real and what to reasonably expect on your journey to find someone. So how about it, guys? If you've got questions, let's have them, and I will happily answer any of your questions about international dating, how to meet the women, court the women, how to create romance with these women, the structure that we create for you so you can meet so many women and yet not have to worry about a lot of small stuff. You can just relax and enjoy the environment. Look at that social footage. Isn't that great? This is probably about an hour into our social in Odessa. And you will see men talking to women. You'll see men sitting at tables. You'll see what I always see, women in their late 30s and 40s sitting there very pretty, nobody talking to them. And I'm telling you guys, that's where you want to be. People dancing at the end of the social, just having some fun as we turn the music up a little bit. You'll see men talking to women. You'll see their interpreters usually sitting beside them to help them translate as they talk to the women. When you look, I love this, right? So I'm looking at this table of 4 girls and this guy's talking to a couple of these girls, and they're smiling and that eye contact, and they're looking right at you. All 4 of them, right? I mean, when do you do that? When do you get to sit down and talk to 4 women who are happy to talk to you, and they're all smiling and they're polite and they're just enjoying the conversation, and the body language is so great? And that is a great demonstration of the nervous white guy dance. Everything moves but the feet, the nervous white guy dance. Some guys are really good at that nervous white guy dance thing. I'm telling you, man. Some guys worry they're a little shy about dancing at the end of the social, but the girls usually love to dance. If you don't want to dance, they're not going to be upset. They really don't care. They just want you to be comfortable. But you know what? Dancing's not so hard. You just go out, just move around a little bit to the music. They don't care. They just want to share the space with you. Good stuff. Good stuff, guys. So as I mentioned, we have singles tours coming up all over the world. Did you know that we do our international dating and singles tours in 7 different countries? Tell you what they are in a minute. Let's get some of your questions in, guys. Robert says, is the Asian Club a good alternative if I can't make a romance tour in August? It's Eric, I'm sorry. Eric, I will tell you what I've told you the last 2 weeks that you've asked me that question, which is yes. Dude, don't overthink it. Just go. Absolutely go. If you can't make the romance tour in August, an Asian Club is great. What is an Asian Club, you ask? That is a package in which you purchase 7 days of 7 consecutive days or 10 consecutive days of introductions. Our staff working with you every day to call women in the database that you like, that you notice, that you'd like to meet. We'll say, hey, this guy's in town. He's a great guy. He's good looking. He's interesting. They'll ask, how old is he? What does he look like? What does he do? Send me a photo. Quick, quick, quick. And we do all that stuff, and the girl says, yeah, I definitely would like to meet this guy, and then we arrange a date. So you meet for coffee, you meet for pizza, you know, go bowling or eat ice cream or whatever. But we arrange those dates for you, 2, 3, 4 a day sometimes for 7 days or 10 days, depending on whether you buy the 7-day or 10-day club. You purchase the club. It's $900 or I believe $1,100 for the 10-day option. You buy your airfare, you buy your hotel. You'll pay for whatever dates you go on, whatever meals, that kind of thing. But we'll provide you with a great matchmaker who will get to know you and make really great introductions for you so you get as many dates as you want. Keep you jamming and busy until you just can't take it anymore and you break down. Well, don't break down. But we definitely want you to have a good time. That's what the clubs are all about. Chris, cheers right back to you, mate. Kirk has too much good footage to use. Yes, he does, and he knows how to use it. Kirk's deadly with that footage, man. All right. Wow, here's a question I don't think I've ever had. How does standardized college admissions testing work in Ukraine? Is there something comparable to the SAT as a proxy for approximate IQ? What results indicate how far above average? John. Got absolutely no idea. I got to tell you, man, I'm sorry. I know a lot. At least I thought I did. I mean, I know, good Lord, I could answer 10,000 questions, but I have no idea. No idea, so I'm sorry. However, when you meet somebody in Ukraine, you can definitely ask them. There are college entrance exams. I am speculating, but I feel reasonably confident that there are exams that test these things. Almost everybody in Ukraine has a university level education. A good amount of the population does. University level education is very accessible in Ukraine and also Russia and in a number of other countries like China. Isn't that great? People can get a great education. Unfortunately, there are no corresponding jobs, and what jobs there are don't pay anything. But it's so cool to go to Ukraine and you're dealing with, for the most part, a very literate and educated and sophisticated culture. And it's such a great experience. And no doubt there are entrance exams. No doubt. I know there are entrance exams for university. I'll tell you what, I know a good person to ask that question to. So here's what I would have you do so I don't forget to answer it, John. Write me this question, bud@loveme.com. bud@loveme.com. Just write that question to me, okay? I'll have somebody answer it, and I'll get back to you tomorrow with that. How about that? Great questions, guys. Let's have them. Click the green box above me. Don't be shy. You need this information. You know you do. You know you want it. Let's have it. Click the green box and send me your questions. That's why we're here. Tom says, has President Trump's recent immigration changes affected the K-1 visa process? Increased the processing time? I haven't heard that it has, quite honestly. I don't think that Trump's interested in impacting the K-1 visa process. Of course, some of the people who process K-1 visas, may process other visas, but so far I haven't heard that there's been an increased delay. That the processing times so far seem to be unaffected by that, and I believe that will be the case going forward. Yeah, all right, now we're on a roll. That's how you do it, guys. When are you doing a seminar in San Francisco or San Jose? David, later on in the year on our seminar schedule, there is a seminar in Santa Clara, which hopefully is somewhat in that neck of the woods. Please go to lovely.com. Well, shucks, let me do it right now. What am I saying? Hold on, my brother. I'll have it for you in a second. Because I know that John and I talked about getting up to Northern California later in the year. And it is, in fact, August 10th, which is a Saturday, Santa Clara, California, from 11 to 3. We're still working on the venue, but the venue will be there shortly. You can RSVP anytime, guys, because that date is cast in stone. That seminar is going down. So we'll probably be out by the airport somewhere, would be my guess. So if you want to RSVP for it, you can do that anytime. Bud at loveme.com, August 10th, we will be in Santa Clara. I hope that works for you, my friend. What is the average amount of numbers a guy looking a lot like Brad Pitt can get at a typical social? Oh, geez, Sly, are you kidding me? Well, I don't know. We don't have many guys who look like Brad Pitt. Sorry, you're good looking guy. You know what I'm saying, right? You get dates, you're good guys. You gotta look like Brad Pitt. God, who needs to look like Brad Pitt? I will say this, we have a whole lot of guys who don't look like Brad Pitt who get a lot of dates, quite honestly. I've had some handsome, nice guys on my tours. They, of course, have no problem getting plenty of dates. I've had some handsome guys, not so nice on my tours. They struggle a little bit. I've had guys that would probably describe themselves as average or even slightly below average, but absolutely great personalities and comfortable in their skin. And I'm telling you, they get dates, plenty of them. Isn't that interesting? Your personality matters, guys. It's not all about your looks. You certainly have to look like you care about yourself. And I know that women in Ukraine, women in China, women around the world, women in Latin America, they like to look at you and know he cares about himself. I mean, he takes care of his appearance, right? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to look like Superman, but you look like you care about yourself. That's very, very important when you're going to a culture where the women look like they greatly care about themselves, right? But you definitely don't have to be Brad Pitt. Even though, Sly, I know you really are. Is there dancing in the China tour? How is that tour run? Good question, David. I don't think there is dancing in the China tour. I think there should be dancing in the China tour. But I don't believe I've ever seen footage in China of women and men dancing. So here's the deal. We have a great hotel in China. It's a great location. It's a great hotel. On the 12th floor, there is a room that we use for our socials. So your social is on the 12th floor of your hotel, and you can see it's very, very comfortable. Shenzhen, a very, very beautiful city. The hotel itself is very nice. So we have a very comfortable, semi-formal social in the hotel ballroom, if you will. There it is. There's an aerial view, if you will. Boy, somebody really got up on a ladder for that, huh? But probably no dancing and music at the end. I think there should be music and dancing. But anyway, the good news is karaoke clubs, you know, places where you can go and listen to music and dance very comfortably. Absolutely sure the women in China love to do that. So if you want to go out dancing after the social, I bet you can do that very, very, very easily. Great questions, guys. Let's see. I want to write a letter to a woman in Ukraine. How does she see my profile photos? Larry, if you write to a woman in Ukraine, I promise you one of two things is going to happen. Either she's going to come to our office to get your letter, or someone is going to call her, a translator, or somebody is going to call her and say, we have a letter from Larry. She'll say, really? Interesting. Do tell. And she will ask, who's Larry? What does he do? How old is he? What does he look like? 100% of the time. So however our offices get that information, they may send it in an email. You know, if she's in the office, they can go online and look you up. I mean, there are a number of ways that can be done, but I promise you that it's done when you write to the women, or they won't write you back. Vincent says, hey, Bud, on your website, it has 1,000 sexy ladies. I'm pretty sure it's got about 60,000. How is this determined, and how often is it updated? Well, so look, guys. You know, we allow a lot of women to come to our website. The vast majority of women at loveme.com and similar websites are never going to meet anybody. That's true. We have tens of thousands of women, and the vast majority of them are never going to meet anybody. I mean, 95% of them or more of the 60,000 women on our website are never going to meet anybody. That is the truth. That's crazy. That's sad. That's why I do what I do, by the way. I'm trying to change that. Why is that? Because a lot of guys are writing letters and not getting on the plane and following through on the things they say or the things they want to do. A lot of guys are not getting on the plane. Some guys do. Of the guys who do, some of them are ready, some of them are not. But the reality is the vast majority of these women aren't going to meet anybody. So we bring them on the site, and they come by way of our office. They come by way of independent agencies on the ground who are working to spread the word about who we are and what we do. You know, there are recruiting events of some kind that are occasionally held. I mean, they come by a number of ways. They see advertisements. I mean, they do searches on the internet and find us on the internet. I mean, there are a number of ways that women come to us. And, you know, it just so happens that in a lot of countries there are a lot of very beautiful women that you would probably describe as attractive and sexy. There are all kinds of them. And, you know, they come to our site and they come to our events and they try very, very hard to meet somebody and they hang out for a long, long time. The sad thing is that most of them are not going to find somebody, but we really, really hope that you will get on a plane and change that for somebody. Chris says, I'm emailing a woman. How long does it take for her to receive it? That depends. If she answers the phone the first time, probably within the same 24-hour period. If it takes us a couple of days to reach her, it might take longer. If we reach her, but she's busy and she needs us to call her back, it may take longer. If we call her and she says, okay, great, really excited, I'll come by the office tomorrow. You know, all those things impact how often it takes for her to get the letter. But all of our agencies and all of our offices around the world know that you're waiting to get a response, and they know that it's critical for your correspondence with that girl, which is in their best interest, to get a response from her as quickly as possible. And the agencies generally work pretty hard to do that. So hopefully, Chris, you'll hear from her shortly. Joseph says, how far will the ladies travel to come to the socials? I think most of the ladies who come to our socials around the world, in fact, I'm really quite certain, Joseph, are from the same city. I think that most of the women who are coming to our socials are going to be from the city that you're in. You know, in order for somebody to come from outside of the city, they might have to travel for a couple of hours. You know, and late at night in some countries, traveling a couple of hours. Many women don't drive, some do, many of them don't. It's just not a convenient or easy thing to do. And if they do come a couple of hours to a social, there will be literally hundreds of women. I know that our staff likes to prioritize the women who are in the city that they're in because they represent those women and they know those women are after them and they want husbands, they want to meet somebody. So I would think it's safe to say the vast, vast, vast majority of women that you're going to meet at any of our social events are going to be from the city you're in. But that's all good. There'll be hundreds of them. They're great. They're pretty. It'll be a good time. All right. Guys, some of your questions are a little wordy, but I'll do my best. So let's see. Living in New York, I met a Venezuelan woman, says Jay Sean. Living in Bogota, who pretended to have a real relationship with me, visited her in Bogota, and later the girl lied. Oh! Broke the relationship right away. I'm 37, well-established man. I work for a reputed hotel in mid-level management. I have my life together. That's excellent. Have a thing for Colombian women, okay? Super worried about getting scammed again. If the relationship is to have maintenance money while we went for a life payment in Colombia, advise me. If I was to take your tour to Medellin in 2020, if I can at least meet honest and sincere women. Well, of course you can, Jay Sean. Of course you can. And, you know, dude, if you let somebody scam you and you give up, then they won, didn't they? They had a huge, large impact on you, didn't they? And you shouldn't allow that. Getting scammed is not fun, but you definitely should not let that defeat you. Having said that, there are many, many women in foreign countries who are struggling and they have no hero. They have nobody to lean on. They're living month to month. They're barely hanging on. Things come up that they can't provide for and take care of. And when they meet a man and you fall in love, it's not at all uncommon for them to ask you for a little bit of money, occasionally for a little bit of support. That is just absolutely part of courtship everywhere you go. You're never going to date a girl who never asks you for money, ever, ever, ever. And we know that, right? I mean, we need to understand that, guys. Now, I am not a fan of sending large amounts of money, you know, to women ever until you're engaged and working on that visa or you're already married. I'm okay with a little bit of money here and there. You know, if you've met somebody, if you've not met her, don't ever send money to a girl you've never met. And quite frankly, don't send money to a girl you haven't kissed passionately. It's as simple as that. Unless you want to send it as a friend, which is your decision and a different story. But don't ever send money to a girl you think you're romantically connected to if you haven't spent ample amount of time with her and you haven't passionately kissed her, because if you haven't, you're not romantic in any way, shape, or form, no matter what you think. So just don't allow yourself to be set up for a scam, but absolutely expect that at some point you're gonna have the opportunity to be a hero and, you know, a strong shoulder to lean on, and it's your job as a man to do that. It doesn't require necessarily a lot, but probably a little bit, and I want to be upfront about that. So yeah, Jay Sean, you should go, man. Just go, meet the right girl, and everything will be okay. All right, guys, thank you for your questions. Appreciate it so much. Glad you're here. Glad I'm here. And let me continue to get your questions. Jesse says, Bud, I'm writing to a lady I will be visiting in 2 weeks in Odessa. She lives with her mother, and they are very close. How often will it occur? She will decide after I marry her, and we are in the USA, and she wants to go back to live with her mother. I don't know about live with her mother, but I will tell you this, guys. It's true that many foreign women grow up in a house without a dad, and even when they do have one, Ukrainian women, Colombian women, Philippine women, and Chinese women are close to both parents, very, very, very tight with their parents. Many, many, many Ukrainian women, since you're talking about Ukraine, would tell you their mom is their best friend. They will talk to their mom every day. We think that these women are dying to get out of their country, living in, you know, mud huts, poor and desperate, and they just want to come to America and get the green card, right? Absolutely not true, and there's no evidence anywhere to prove that that is even the least bit true. In fact, they will be homesick. They will want to, you know, to be with their mom. They will also love you. They will be happy about what the two of you are sharing and experiencing together. But they will definitely, definitely, definitely miss their mom. Will they want to go home? Sure, absolutely they will. You know, so what works? As a couple, you'll talk about that. I think it's reasonable for a woman to want to go home at least once a year. I really do. Some women don't need to do that. Some women may want to go twice a year, right? They'll want to work. They'll want to contribute. They don't want to be a drain on you. They just want to see their mom. Good news. You can also bring their mom, their parents, you know, close family relatives for a visit. And sometimes that's really nice for them as well. But you've got to expect that, guys, right? There's no way that a woman who has a heart and a soul, or anybody, is going to come halfway around the world and not miss their family and not want to go home for a visit, right? You know, my mom and dad lived in northern Maine, about as far away as you could live and still be in the United States. They were like a kilometer away from the Canadian border in the northern recesses of Maine. They lived there for years and years and years and years. I lived in Chicago, I lived in Boston, I lived in Arizona, and it was so hard for me to get there, you know, frequently. And man, I miss them. I miss them all the time. And that's just here in the United States, but it's quite a distance, right? You understand what I'm talking about. So I think it's important for you and your girl to have a good discussion about, tell me what, and she may not have the answer for it, and that's totally human, right? But just tell me what your expectations are. What do you think you're going to want to do? Imagine she has no children, and she comes here and she has a child. That grandmother is going to want to see her grandchild. Mom is going to want grandma to see her grandchild, right? You've got to understand and expect that. Support it, be a part of it, and provide for it. That's how you be a hero, my brother. And thanks for your question, Jesse. Appreciate it very, very much. Melvin, you spectacular, beautiful man. How about speed dating at a social as a topic for a future webcast, since every country except Ukraine? That's true. Melvin's quick to point out we do the speed dating format in every country except Ukraine. I find it would be practical to talk about how to have the best success. All right. Mel, thank you. Please be so kind as to remind me, and I will spend some time on that next Monday. And we'll work up some good speed dating footage between now and then. What is speed dating? It's really not as speedy as you'd think, at least not in our environment, but the format is kind of borrowed from the speed dating format. That basically means in all of the countries that we go to do singles tours and socials, like Peru, you're watching right now. Peru. So we go to Peru, Colombia, Costa Rica, the Philippines, Thailand, China, and Ukraine. We do singles tours in all of those countries. In all of them except Ukraine, we do the speed dating format. What is that? You and your matchmaker interpreter partner go from table to table to table to table, meeting the women. You move around, you will meet all of the women. You and your tour comrades will all circulate from table to table to table. The idea is everybody meets everybody. And we have 4 hours. We've got plenty of time to make that happen. And there's some open time toward the end for you to circle back and spend time with anybody specifically that you want to. You know, the women love it because at many socials, the women come and they sit there all night long and nobody talks to them. And that happens to a good number of women, probably half of the women at every social. Can you imagine? But it's true. And they don't want that. The whole reason they're there, the whole reason they took time off of work or came out to the social, got dressed up, did their makeup, skipped dinner, whatever, the whole reason they're doing that is so that they can meet somebody and talk to somebody. And it's such a downer. And it's no guy's fault. We're just busy meeting the women. We're just doing what we're doing. It's just not easy sometimes to meet everybody. But at our events, our dating events, our social events, we really like to give everybody a chance. Most guys, I hear very few guys complain about it. I think most guys find it very helpful. So that's cool. The one place we don't do it is Ukraine. Why? We have so many women in Ukraine. We bring so many women to the social events in Ukraine. There would just be no way to really orchestrate that. We've tried it in a few cities with success, but we just, you know, Ukraine, the women are just not going to sit there. Women of Ukraine, they're a different breed, man. They're going to get up and come to you if you're standing around and they want to talk to you. They're not going to let you get away without coming over and talking to you. But anyway, there you go. Mel, remind me, my friend, okay? I promise. I think that's great. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for your question, Mel. Appreciate it. My friend David from the Great White North, another lovely man, and my brother, will my smartphone work in Ukraine or should I purchase one there? There is an excellent chance that your smartphone will work in Ukraine. Many of the international phone carriers, you know, they have really competitive programs. So you can just take your phone to Ukraine and other places in the world. So the first step is call your carrier and say, hey, you guys at Cricket or T-Mobile or Sprint or AT&T or wherever, I'm going to Ukraine or wherever I'm going. Will my phone work there? How much will it cost me? I don't want any nasty surprises, so tell me straight up. And they will. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that they have incredibly competitive rates for you to use your phone internationally. Also, if your phone is unlocked, that means that you have paid for it completely. You're not still paying the phone company for it technically, or you paid for it completely when you originally got it. If your phone is unlocked and it's SIM card compatible, you can buy a SIM card, little slot on the side where you can, you know, use a SIM card, which will put you on a global communications network for very little money, 50, 60 bucks in many cases. And then, of course, when you get to Ukraine or wherever you're going, you can buy a smartphone, you know, 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks if you want a really nice camera. You can buy a smartphone that works locally with all kinds of minutes and internet and data, etc., very affordably. All of those are possibilities for you. Do you think the Ukrainian phone would be formatted in English? You know, that's a good question, David. I think yes. I think in my experience, when you purchase a cell phone at a cell phone store in Ukraine, you can ask them to format it for you in English and they'll do it. Troy, how you doing, buddy? I'm trying to decide between a tour and the Euro Club. Your thoughts on success between the two options? Troy, I have bad news. They're both very successful as long as you are a nice guy and realistic. And that is the truth. We have just as many guys. So the clubs work because you're getting a lot of dates. You're going out on dates. You know, by day 2 or day 3, you're already second dating and third dating some of those women that you've met on, you know, previous dates. The tours work because the socials are great and you get those individual introductions as well. There's no wrong answer. The tours have a great advantage, which is we have the social events. How nice it is to step into a room with 200, 300, 400 women. You can look around the room, immediately see 5 or 6, 7 or 8 that you want to talk to and date, and you can go and make that happen very easily. The clubs have a big advantage, which is we don't have to schedule the clubs at specific times. There's a ton of flexibility in when you go. So you may not be able to go on a tour because the dates are conflicting, but you could probably do a club sometime before or after that or something like that. So they both have advantages. It's more a matter of you deciding whether you need that flexibility in going or not, those dates, and the time when you would go, you know, or maybe you would rather kind of handle this thing by yourself privately with a matchmaker, or you want to be around a good, jolly group of guys with some hilarity and camaraderie and stuff like that. Vo, I want to know how to pronounce your name, but I'm going to call you Vo. What is the percentage of women that speak English at the Ukraine socials? About 10%. Mark says, how frustrating is it for a woman with a college education to find a job here in the U.S.? Great question, Mark. So it can be frustrating. You know, it just depends. Ultimately, they can work. I mean, they'll work somewhere. And, you know, working conditions in America, even if you're working at, I mean, anywhere, are better than working conditions in Ukraine. Women in Ukraine work long, long hours. Do you know it's quite common in Ukraine and in Russia for employers not to pay their employees when they're supposed to pay them? Sorry, guys, we can't pay you this month. We know we owe you money. That's okay. We'll probably pay you next month. And people just, they're disappointed, but this is acceptable. And people continue working, hoping they'll get paid the following month. And sometimes they don't get paid for several months after working 14, 15, 16-hour days, day after day after day. Isn't that amazing? So when you come here to America and you're treated well and treated with respect, you know, and you know the labor laws are in place. We have, for the most part, very respectful environments. They really do enjoy that. If a woman is from a specific, for example, if a woman is an attorney, she's not going to be able to find work in America as an attorney because our laws are entirely different than the laws in Ukraine, right? If she's a dental hygienist or a nurse, she may be able to find work. We have dental hygienists and nurses from other countries, right? But her English has to be really, really, really good. And she's going to need to pass exams to prove that. If she's an accountant, our accounting systems are very, very different, but she's good with math and numbers, right? That's universal. So she can find some kind of a clerical accounting job. You know, it just depends on what her background is. But she'll find work, I promise you that. They always find work. Can be a little troubling sometimes, but with your support, and they keep trying, they'll get there. I think temp agencies are a great option for a lot of, temp agencies are a great option for a lot of women. Temporary agencies can give them a little bit of exposure to different jobs to find out what they like and some opportunity to build their resume, build a few referrals, that kind of thing. So think about that. All right. But how frustrating is it for, I'm sorry, we just answered that. Mark, I apologize. Brian says, I'm talking to a girl from Davao. Is it possible to exchange emails? Yes, when you meet her, but not until. So go and meet her, okay, Brian? And then she'll give you all the personal contact information that she wants. So sorry about that, guys. We have two agencies, well, actually two offices in the Philippines. I apologize. Two agencies in the Philippines who are run by a really, really great staff and a remarkable woman who's been our partner for years, Helen. And, you know, Helen's not on our payroll, so the only way Helen gets paid is to go out and find girls that want to meet men, bring them, organize a way for you to meet them. And, you know, she just can't give away the contact information without being involved in the communication. That's how we pay her. It's her job to make sure that your communication is smooth and quick and legit. So, yeah, so it's like that, my friend. But I'll tell you what, write to your girl in Davao for a little bit and then get your butt down there and go meet her, because a lot of men don't do that. And if you go and meet her and you're a good guy with a good heart, buddy, you know what, Brian? She's your girl. She's your girl, man. Doug says, we appreciate your Monday webcast. Doug, I appreciate you appreciating my Monday webcast. When a letter is sent to a lady in Ukraine, is it translated from English into Ukrainian Russian by computer or by a person? By a person. By a person. Although I do know every now and then you get a slick translator who tries to save time by doing it on Google Translate, but they're not supposed to do it. And most of the time they don't. Usually it's translated by a person. Is the reverse on the reply? Again, I think most of the time it's translated by a live human being. I ask because of errors that sometimes appear in spelling, word choice, etc. And sometimes that's just the level of translation. Think about it, guys. I mean, it takes years. It takes years to be fluent in a language. You could have a pretty good translator. For example, I know someone who speaks English. She's very beautiful. And if you met her, you would be completely charmed by her, and her English is pretty darn good. She's one of the girls who does videos on our YouTube channel named Lena from Kiev. And her English is pretty darn good. She's even worked as a translator, I think, in a few capacities. You know, but is her English at an expert level? I don't know. And guys sometimes forget that. As we're writing our letters, we're writing about our day, we're writing about our investments, we're talking about, you know, specific movies we like, we're talking about a textbook from college, we're talking about all kinds of stuff, some of which just doesn't translate that easily. So sometimes your translation, it's not crystal clear, and sometimes the translation back. But I think for the most part, the interpreters are doing their best. There are different levels of expertise and that kind of thing, which is to be expected. However, if you're paying for a letter to be translated, it's got to be translated accurately, and you are entitled to that. So if you really think there's a problem with a particular girl that you're writing to, let me know, let me look into it, and let me just help you to fix that problem, okay? Because I'm pretty sure, Doug, that we can do something about that if you need me to. I mean, look, guys, we have tens of thousands of letters that are going through our system all over the world every day. You know, we're just not aware of every single letter and the content. And so just by all means, please, just if you have any issues or questions or hang-ups, anything like that, send it to me and I will look into it immediately for you. John Steven Lazowski. That sounds like a very distinguished name, John Steven Lazowski. So you are asking, on the combined tour, Kiev, Kharkov, Odessa, how do I book my flight? Round trip to Kiev? I would suggest yes. Also, when is the full payment deadline for the combined trip? 30 days prior to the commencement of that tour, which is July 11th. So June 11th, my friend, which is coming right up, if not right up. The idea is, guys, that we really need to get our reservations finalized for your hotel rooms 30 days out, or they get a little itchy with us. Sometimes they drop the available rooms. So it's really important that you contact us so we can get your final payment on that tour. I would book in and out of Kiev, but from Odessa, you're going to need to get to Kiev. So while you're booking in and out of Kiev, make sure that you book a flight on the last day of your tour from Odessa to Kiev so you can leave Kiev. That's what I would do. And if you need help with that, let us know. All right, guys. Appreciate you so very much. We've got some great seminars and some tours coming up. We'll talk about that in just a moment. I received an intro letter with a notice stating that the profile was removed. I wonder why the intro letter was sent in the first place. Excellent, excellent question. I don't know. It's possible that the intro letter was sent and the profile was removed. Who knows? One thing I can tell you is that sometimes when intro letters are sent, we have so many intro letters going through our system, the intro letter could have been in a queue. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I wouldn't overthink it and I wouldn't worry too much about it, but don't write back to her. All right? All right. Mark says, how hard is it for a man with a lot of scars and a medical condition to find dates in the Philippines? Well, without seeing you, Mark, and without really understanding your situation, I don't know. I really don't know. But I would tell you that if you thought your situation was prohibitive for dating, Philippines is probably a really good place to test that theory. There are a lot of nurses in the Philippines. There are a lot of girls in the Philippines, I think, who are just, naturally compassionate, I think, from what I've seen. So yeah, the Philippines is probably worth a try for you. Again, I'll try and be really, really objective and supportive. Look, I've had men on my tours to Ukraine, and people in Ukraine can be a little bit of a tough crowd. They have some expectations in Ukraine. They're often portrayed as having no expectations. And while many of them have minimal expectations, they have some expectations in Ukraine. So if you're really, really challenged, Ukraine can be a bit difficult. And I've had some really, really challenged guys on my tours, but I've had some guys that were pretty significantly challenged. I mean, we're talking missing limbs, just to put it bluntly, who got dates with very nice women. So nothing's impossible, my friend, right? Not at all. But if you would like more candid advice or more candid feedback, just call me up and talk to me and let me do my very, very best to steer you in the right direction, okay? And Mark, thank you for asking that question. I appreciate that so much. Great questions, guys. Are you okay? How you doing? We're watching video footage from Kherson, Ukraine, our great outdoor social in the middle of summer. Love that social. So pretty at night, man, when the sun goes down and the social and the weather's great. That is such a beautiful venue. Lights up, fountains. It's just gorgeous. The dancing, the women love to dance. They dance for a long, long time. It's really, really cool. More questions from you guys. Great. Love it. Rapid fire. I'm ready for you. Jim says, has AFA given any thought to expanding their tours to Vietnam or Singapore? I think Vietnamese women are the most beautiful in the world. Many people would agree. I believe, I've been told, that dating agencies, marriage agencies are illegal in Vietnam. I believe I've been told that. Singapore, I don't know. I'm not sure that there's a need in Singapore. But to tell you the truth, even if Vietnam and Singapore were very, very available and viable, dude, to be honest with you, 8 countries is a lot. I mean, it really is. And we're still developing some of our markets. And there is such a thing as cannibalizing one tour because you've got another tour in another area, right? So, yeah, I think Japan is interesting. A lot of guys have told me the Czech Republic. I mean, there are a lot of places that probably would be interesting and rewarding on some level, but we just can't take over the whole world. Though I certainly understand your question. I do hope that you get to go to Vietnam. A good client of mine, a good friend of mine, David from California, does charity in Vietnam, says the people are wonderful, the women are beautiful, loves to go to Vietnam. In fact, if you like, I'll get you in touch with him if you write to me, bud@loveme.com. All right. Whew. Coffee, guys. Allow me to take a sip of coffee for your protection. Mike says, Bud, I love these webcasts. Mike, that's awesome. Seriously. I previously asked about inviting women from other Chinese cities to the Shenzhen tour. I understand that's unlikely. So what would be the best way to meet women from other cities? What I would do is write to women. This is true of every country we go to. If you're interested in meeting women who are not in our designated tour cities, write to them and say, hey, I'd like to come to the city closest to you for one of these tours, but I really would like to meet you. So would you come to Shenzhen to spend a couple of days with me? I'll pay for your transportation and your hotel gladly, and let's have a couple of days together if you find we're interesting and compatible. Would you consider that? If so, I'd like to write to you and then talk to you and make that happen if it's possible. The same would be true of women in other countries, in other cities, so I would do that. It seems to me on every tour that I've done to Ukraine, I have guys that are meeting women from outside of the tour cities, either going to those tour cities themselves or inviting women who are coming by train or taxi or bus or whatever to hang out with them for a day or two so they can meet. So it's very, very possible, and it actually happens quite frequently all over the world, but that's what I would do. Write to them, talk to them, and then let us know if they agree so we can get in touch with them and help you to help them make it happen. And that would be great. Sly says, when you touch down on your first tour destination, are there AFA staff there to greet you at the airport and bus you to the hotel, or do you take a taxi? When you arrive at an international destination, guys, you cannot get off the plane and wander around. You've got to go through customs. Traffic is always controlled. You go through customs, stamp your passport, and then you go to get your baggage. And once you get your baggage, there's usually only one door you can go out, so you go out that door, and someone is waiting right at that door with a sign with your name on it. And you say, hey, are you my driver? And yes, I am. Great. And they take you to the hotel where you are staying for the tour, introduce you to the staff. The hotel staffs always speak English where we stay. So it's very easy for you to get checked in and get comfortable. And yeah, we make it happen like that. So you're not on your own taking a taxi. Having said that, I think the vast majority of time in the places that we go, if you had to take a taxi to the hotel, you'd be perfectly fine. But no, your driver will be there. That's part of your tour pickup. That's part of your tour package. So you send us your flight information and we will be there well ahead of when you land. Great questions, guys. Junior says, if we can speak their native language, how do we ask to talk to them? Junior, maybe expand that. If you can speak their native language, how do we ask to talk to them? I think you're asking, if you can speak their native language, how do you ask to talk to them while they're on our site, and you're writing to them through our site, right? So what you can do is you can write to them and just say, I speak your language. I speak Spanish. I speak Chinese. I speak Russian. Can we talk to each other? I think that would be a lot of fun. They'll say yes. You have to then click the box next to their profile that says, call me now. And you're not going to call them now. We have to have you fill out a form, and then we'll call them and talk to them and arrange a time for the two of you to talk to each other, and then you can talk to each other. It's called a translation phone call. It's available for every woman at loveme.com, certainly nearly every woman, and I think that's how you would do it, Junior. I think that's the question you're asking, man, right? Kurt says, what happened to the Philadelphia seminar? I had someone interested, went to show the link, and it was gone. Yep, we are going to change the Philadelphia seminar to sometime in September, and that will be posted soon. So apologies for that. We rarely ever do that. But the Philadelphia seminar, which was scheduled for the 29th of June, is now going to be in September. Reasons for that, but very, very boring. Larry says, when writing a letter to a woman, should I attach photos of myself when the women will see my profile anyway? Do not attach photos that are on your profile. If you're writing a woman and you would like to attach photos that are not on your profile, but then again, you can have like 9 or 10 photos on your profile. So maybe just update the photos on your profile, right? And that way you don't have to pay to send pictures. How about that? Brian from Tokyo, right on, my man. Appreciate you very, very much. What do you think, guys? Colombia, that is Cartagena, Colombia video that we are looking at. That is a Spanish fortress. I believe it was built in the 1500s. I've been there. I've been inside it. It's incredible. It's incredible. This fortress that surrounds probably 2/3 of the city of Cartagena. These are just guys on our tour having fun. You know, on one of the days when we don't have any particular events, guys just get together with their girl. We'll go out to a nearby island for a picnic, do a little snorkeling, a little swimming. When I was snorkeling just off the coast on my tour in Colombia, a mother and baby dolphin swam by me in the group. They were really fast. It was really cool. Just fun, just a great afternoon that day. So Cartagena, Colombia, a lot of very beautiful, friendly people. And this looks like some of the celebrations the week before Miss Colombia is crowned. This is the Miss Colombia pageant week where people come out at night, celebrate, and have fun. Sections of the old city of Cartagena. Look how beautiful Cartagena is at night. I love cities at night. And there is the Miss Colombia pageant. Miss Colombia is always a contender when it comes to Miss Universe every year, right? Every year. She's right up there. So it's a huge source of national pride. And a lot of fun for people just to go out at night, celebrate every night in the city, the week right up to the weekend of the crowning of Miss Colombia. Cool. Isn't that great? Think about it. How cool is it to have a country celebrating for an entire week, for like 10 days, the crowning of Miss Colombia? That would be great in any country, wouldn't it? And these are some of the very beautiful women who are attending our social in Medellin, Colombia. And I can tell you right now, just by looking at them, I know a good number of the women you're looking at are in their 30s and early 40s. How about that? So, yeah. Vo says, what kind of things do the matchmakers help with other than finding dates? They'll find you dates, they'll arrange taxis, they'll arrange interpreters, they'll recommend restaurants for you, and you'd be smart to listen to them because they know what they're doing. You know, they'll show you where to go and get flowers if you want to get some girl flowers. If you want to buy a nice gift for her, they'll take you to a place where you can do that, maybe a gift card for a cosmetic store or something like that, maybe a bottle of perfume or whatever. They'll help you to pick out a good gift. You know, they'll get you tickets to the ballet or the opera or movies. I mean, they're there as a concierge to just help you to meet as many women as possible with very few distractions. So if you need something, just ask them politely and they'll get it for you. And that's what they're there for. A lot of stuff, Vo, right? A lot of stuff, my man. My buddy Rick from Florida, do the ladies in Ukraine expect the man to take charge? Does he decide where to eat and what to do? My brother from another brother. Rick and I are twin brothers from different mothers. So yeah. Yes, I think they do, especially on a first or second date. Look, what does it mean when the women say, I want the man to take charge? I want the man to make the first step. What they're saying in Ukraine, and probably in China and other countries, is men here don't do that necessarily. Men here expect the woman to do something for the guy. They expect the woman to amuse the guy and entertain the guy when we go out on dates. How nice it would be, they'll say, for a guy to entertain us and amuse us, make us feel like we're important and special. So I want to see a guy make an effort. I want to see a guy plan. I want to take you out on a date, Ukrainian girl, to a very nice restaurant, you know, that it's not necessarily expensive, but a nice environment, and we're in a good location. Or I want to go out and have fun dancing. I've got the evening planned. I took the time to do this because you're special, and I wanted to impress you and amuse you with my special date-making plans. And I do believe that a lot of women in Ukraine really like it when the guy does that. I've seen, you know, there are times when, as a host of our socials, I'm going around the social event, hey, how are you doing? How you doing? I'm shaking hands, saying hi. You know, I'll see a girl sitting there with nothing to drink, and I'll say, can I get you something to drink? And she'll say, sure. And I'll say, what can I get you? And she'll say, surprise me. And that's just her little way of saying, do something to amuse me, Mr. American guy. And they just like to see that gesture. So it's kind of fun for the guys to you know, our staff, again, Vo is asking, you know, what do the matchmakers do? So you go to the matchmaker and you say, okay, I have a date with this girl. Where do we go? I want to impress her. I want to do something nice. And, you know, the matchmakers will say, well, how about this restaurant, which is right on the ocean? I'm telling you, it's right on the ocean. There are tables right next to the waves that come in, candlelight, nice food, English menu, not expensive, great location, very romantic, open all night. You're like, great, book it. And they'll call and make a reservation for you. So, you know, you go and get the girl, say, I've got a special reservation at a really nice restaurant. Let's go. Stop and pick up some flowers. Next thing you know, you're at the romantic restaurant. You and your matchmaker partner made that happen so easily. And you took all the initiative, and the girl loves that. And that's what she's looking for. All right. How we doing, guys? Lots of questions coming in. I love it. Brian says, in August, I'll be going to Kiev and Odessa for a business trip. Brian, good luck to you, my friend. May your business go well. Chuck says, can Ukrainian ladies visit the U.S. on a tourist visa? Rarely. It's not impossible, but it's not very common. You know, the embassy or the State Department, the embassy in Kiev, who would issue them that tourist visa, figures, you know, if you don't have a lot of money and you haven't traveled and come back to Ukraine and you don't have any real reason to come back, you're probably not coming back, and they're not likely to give them a visa. Women who have money, women who have traveled and come back to Ukraine stand a better chance, but that's not a lot of women. Many of them seem to be gainfully employed. I think visiting the U.S. would go a long way to developing a good relationship. Absolutely. I wish that they could. I really do. But it just doesn't seem to happen very much. I see a few ladies from Spain and other European countries. Can they attend Ukraine socials? Can they? Yes. Will they? Highly unlikely, because they're too far away. A friend of mine is thinking about joining AFA. He really likes the women in Mexico. Do you have an office in Playa del Carmen? How can he meet the women there? Asks Brian. We don't have an office there. We have an independent agency operating there. We can get you in touch with her. You can talk to her directly. Tell her which women you want to meet and when, and she will work that out for you. I can give you that information if you write to me, Brian, bud@loveme.com. And I'll help you with that, okay? All right. Glasses go on and off, man. LASIK surgery is in my future, I think. All right, guys. Thanks for your questions. We're watching video footage from Odessa. This is a recent social in Odessa. Odessa, Ukraine is on the Black Sea, southern coast. And as we're watching the video, we're watching a lot of women sitting around with nobody to talk to because there aren't enough men. But that means it's a great opportunity for you. Can you imagine, guys, a table where these girls are sitting there with nobody to talk to, and you go and walk over and say, hey, how are you? And you're nice and relaxed and smiling, right? Girls are sitting there bored, and you walk over and go, hey, ladies, how are you? We're great. Sit down. They'd just be absolutely happy to have you sit down. This girl standing up with nobody to talk to, and you go over and say, hi, how are you? Take an interpreter and say, hi, how are you? You know, you're standing here. Can I get you something to drink? Can we sit down and talk? She would love it. She will smile so genuinely. Man, you will be so glad you did that. There's no rejection at these socials, guys. The women are there to meet you. My goodness, that is some dancing. James says, small world, my folks are from Van Buren, Maine. James, how about that, man? He says, Bud is telling the 100% truth. James, I see where this is going, right? My brother from Maine has got my back. I love it. I've been dating my girlfriend for 3 years. I don't send anything. She asks for nothing. That's spectacular, man. Bring that girl home, my brother. Bring her to Maine. Maine's beautiful. When I lived in Maine, all I wanted to do was leave, and then a short time after, and for the rest of my life, all I've wanted to do is go back. Good Lord. All right, great questions, guys. A few more questions from you tonight. Phil says, I went to John's recent seminar in Chicago and registered. That means I think that he made a deposit for a tour to be determined. Leaning toward the trip to Kiev and Odessa in November, getting a fair amount of Ukrainian mail. Talking to a couple of ladies in particular, John recommended talk to as many girls as possible, go on as many dates as possible while over there. Would the two girls I'm writing to now get upset, or would they understand? I actually understand why John says that. John says that because a lot of guys who haven't dated successfully go to Ukraine, meet one pretty girl and say, this is great, right? Finally, after all these years, a pretty girl's talking to me. This is great. I'm good. And you know, sometimes because a girl is talking to us and she's friendly and she's pretty, we think we're good. But after a couple of dates, even after a couple of days of some nice dates, we find out she is nice, she's a great person, but it's just not going to go in the romantic direction that I wanted it to go in. And we don't want you to waste your time doing that. So we want you to go out on dates. And John says meet as many as possible. You know, I think date 3 or 4 women in each city. Do that. Maybe 3 women in each city. And you'll definitely like 1 or 2, and then continue dating. It's so important on the tour to get those second and third dates in. Don't make your tour a merry-go-round of first dates, because you're not going to get anywhere after a first date other than a very nice introduction and someone who's very interested in you, but it's not going to go. You know, you need time. The women want you to have time with them. It's very, very important to them that you have that time together. And the more time you have together, the more open they're going to become to you. So yeah, it's very, very important, you know. Get those 2 or 3, maybe 4 dates in every city. Second dates are very important. Third dates, squeeze them in with the girls you like the most. Very, very important to do that. All right. Are most of the women in Ukraine smokers? What is the chance of a woman's profile saying she's a non-smoker when she's a smoker? Gee, Larry, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that's happened. I don't think it happens very often, to be honest with you. I think I think about a third of the women in Ukraine smoke, maybe half, but I don't think it's that much. I really don't. I think it's about a third of the women in Ukraine smoke. So for what it's worth, I will tell you this. This is something that kind of complicates the issue of smoking in Ukraine and Russia. In the former Soviet Union in general, you will meet women who smoke socially, meaning they don't smoke every day, but if they get together with their friends on a Friday night, they may smoke a cigarette. This is tantamount to guys getting together for a poker game and bringing out the cigars, right? Did you see that? My friend Sky and I have the same exact shirt. And there's another guy with the same exact... What is this? Guys, seriously. That's me making my impression on their style. Anyway, so if they smoke socially, you know, I don't know if that's something that doesn't work for you. You know, you might encounter that once in a while, Larry. But look, most of the time, I think the women present their profiles as accurately as they can. I really do believe that. And so I think you'll find that if they say they're a non-smoker, most of the time they're not. And I think you can trust in that. Great question, though, I must say. Very good question. I haven't had that question in a long, long time. Yeah, all right, guys, a few more of your excellent questions. Just looking at some of these are really great. What determines which women sit together at a social? Do they know each other from previous socials? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they're friends. Sometimes, you know, I walked into a social once in Kharkov, and there was a woman who knew that 3 or 4 other people were going to be there that she knew at the last social. So she sat at a table, and she got glasses of champagne and put her purses and stuff. She wanted to save a couple of seats for those same women. It's like they meet at the same socials and sit at the same tables, and they're just nice girls just who know each other and want to talk. So it's like their little social. But anyway, I think that happens. I think sometimes the women know each other. Sometimes at a table you may have 2 women who know each other and 2 women who don't. I don't think that's uncommon at all. It's quite random, I think, for the most part. Great question, though, Dave. You know what? Nobody's ever asked me that question in 20 freaking years. That's pretty good, right? James says women often ask for money to see if you are weak and have no options. Women are attracted to men with a backbone. Do what you want, Brian. It's always worked for me. Say no with a smile, except for the fact that sometimes you're going to meet women who need money. They just do. And when you tell them no, they're going to think, oh, come on, seriously. Now, I'm not talking about women who don't need money but are asking you for it. But sometimes women need it, guys. That's all there is to it. So if you meet a girl who never asks you for money and you never send it, that's great. I will also tell you, and you can take my word for it or not, that is rare. At some point, look, if you were going to date women in America, at some point, you're not going to date women in America for 3 years and not give her something, or, you know, that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't. Because it's quite common that people lean on each other, and you are, of course, in the better position. You know, you're from America. You live a very predictable life. You have access to employment that typically pays you fairly, etc. Women in Ukraine, women in China, well, actually, women in China, exclude that, they typically are doing really, really well. Women in the Philippines, I don't hear women in Latin America asking for money so much. But it's just, you know, I know that I think labor rules in Latin America are better than they are in Russia or in Ukraine. But I know that in Ukraine, women are overworked. They're paid little. Sometimes they don't get paid at all. They don't really want to ask you for money. They certainly don't want to ask you for money and have you treat them like they did something wrong. But you tell them you love them. You tell them you're going to marry them. You tell them you're serious. Dude, you got to pony up support once in a while. You do. You cannot court women without supporting them financially to some extent, sometime. But it has to be reasonable. You have to have been in love. You are a true couple. You certainly have met. There are circumstances and parameters around that, all right? I'm just saying. All right. How long does a social last? I swear that question said, how long does a 3-hour social last? But the question is actually, how long does a social last? ... 3 hours, right, Sly? It's like, how long does it take to get ready in 15 minutes? So the socials are typically 4 hours long. They're typically 3 to 4 hours, but they lean closer to 4 hours long, Sly. Thank you for your question. Is there a specific person in your office to talk with about China? There are 2, one named Ken, one named John. You can call them anytime or call us up and we'll transfer you to them so you can talk to them, you bet. They are 2 of our owners and they've been to China many, many times and we'll be very happy to talk to you. Jesse says, does this ever occur? We've been writing for several weeks. I'm assuming he and a girl. When I arrived to meet her in Odessa, I find out she's never told her parents we have been writing and now I'm there. Should I be worried after flying all this way if she's never mentioned me to her parents? Excellent question. And Jesse, you know what? That's going to happen nearly every time. Nearly every time you write to a girl and come to meet her, she has not told her parents about you. That is true. What? What? Why? Why? Because many men come to Ukraine, meet a girl, and move on and meet other girls. So you can imagine Mom, I met this great guy. Mom, this guy's really nice. Mom, we're going to fall in love. Mom, we're going to get married. She meets the guy. Guy bails on her after a day, which happens all the time, Jesse. You would not do that. I know you wouldn't. But men do it all the time. And that's really embarrassing, right? It's also true that if a girl goes to her mom and says, Mom, I've met an American guy through correspondence. We're probably going to get married. He's coming here soon. She's going to go, what? Are you kidding me? You met a guy? What are you talking about? Well, I joined this dating agency. Honey, that's such a big deal. I mean, you're really moving to America. That is the exact discussion that they're going to have. When she meets you, and you court her properly, and the two of you fall in love. I mean, really fall in love. You test that relationship, you have a fight or two. You solve it, you fix it, you're better off. Afterwards, you truly love each other. And she knows you're a good guy, you are who you say you are, you did what you said you were going to do. That's a lot. I mean, that distinguishes you from a lot of guys, believe me, Jess. And when you do all of that, she will be ready to introduce you to her mom and dad because she knows that you're a good guy with a good heart, you're going to make a good impression, you're not going to embarrass her. You are going to follow through on the things you said you were going to follow through on, and those things you've demonstrated are going to make her parents feel good about the fact that she's probably going to marry you and move halfway around the freaking world, possibly with their one and only grandchild, right? So don't be worried about that at all, my friend. Don't worry for 1 second about that. Just go do your job. Court that girl, right? Let her put you to the test. Come shining through. Don't let her down. Be a noble man, a man of your word. Demonstrate that time and time and time again, and then you'll get a chance to meet mom or mom and dad when it's ready. And that's true in Ukraine, it's true in the Philippines, it's true in Colombia. In Asia, guys, in the Philippines, in Thailand, in China, you're probably going to meet mom or dad after a couple of dates because that is tradition. Tradition is that we don't begin an intimate relationship until I have the approval of mom and dad because we're not going to begin an intimate relationship unless you are committed to marry me. In many cases, that's how the women in Asia are. So you have to make that commitment, then you go and meet mom and dad, and then the relationship, continues to grow, I guess, right? Great questions. Hey, guys. Whew, nice discussion. Good variety of questions. Don, my good buddy Don up in Seattle. We'll get up there, Don. I'm glad you're up there. I hope everything's okay. We'll get a seminar up in Seattle. Speaking of which, guys, look, at loveme.com, if you just visit our website, you can see a few things that are really important to you and your success and happiness in love and marriage and all that. They are our tour schedule. If you ever wanted to do a singles cruise or you wanted to find a really cool, fun event to meet lots and lots, hundreds of beautiful single women who are so interested in meeting you for all the right reasons, you go on an international singles tour, if you will. It's kind of like a cruise. Probably no boat, probably no water. Just like a cruise other than that. Our tour schedule is at loveme.com. It's front and center. We have singles tours coming up to Costa Rica, to Ukraine. We have 2 coming up in July, Kiev and Kharkov, Odessa and Kherson, Medellin, Colombia, one of our best Latin American destinations, and then we'll be down in Cebu in Thailand in August, right? So Cebu is in the Philippines. So some great, great options for you. Seminars are coming up. John is going to the UK tomorrow. Actually, he's traveling around Europe. He'll be in the UK later on in the month. On the 28th of June, which is a Friday night from 5 to 9, those of you in the UK who watch us, from the 28th of June, John is going to be doing a seminar 5 to 9. It's a Friday night at a Holiday Inn downtown. And if you'd like to go, you can. It's a free seminar. It's 4 hours long, answering a ton of questions. Great video presentation. Lots and lots and lots to talk about. Probably some guys that have been on tours with us will come along. And it's 5 to 9 p.m., June 28th, in London, downtown. For the exact location or to make an RSVP, bud@loveme.com. 22nd and 23rd of June, we have seminars in Los Angeles and Denver. That's Saturday and Sunday. LA, I'll be in LA on Saturday. 23rd of June, I'll be in Denver. So those of you in LA or Denver, or those of you who want to come to LA or Denver on the 22nd and the 23rd, RSVP bud@loveme.com. 11 to 3 on both days, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Again, video, slides, great information. It's light, it's fun, it's funny. There's some good stuff. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to definitely leave empowered to go and put yourself in these videos, one of these videos, to meet the women that are in these videos and more. And there's always food. There's always some lunch and some refreshments and that, so you guys are comfortable for the duration. And then Jacksonville on June 30th, right? Sunday, June 30th, we're going to end June with a great seminar in Jacksonville, Florida. You can make your reservations, bud@loveme.com. You can see the exact venues at loveme.com. Guys, seminars, tours, webcasts, we got it all out here for you. We got it all out here because we want to get in front of you. We want to spread our message. We want you to hear it. Talked about that beacon at the beginning of the webcast, right? And this is how life works. You go through life, whether you realize it or not, you pass a lot of people on the street every day, you hear a lot of people, and you don't remember any of them, and then there's that one person. I have this happen to me all the time, right? On YouTube or podcasts or whatever, there's that one person that's like, wow, this person really impresses me. This person is making an impression on me. This person is changing the way I look at something. I will admit, I'm 53, I've seen a lot. I definitely don't know everything, but it's typically hard to change my impression of something. But I like when that happens. I like when my paradigm is coached up by somebody. It's very, very cool. So look for your beacon, guys. Look for somebody that you identify with, whose message you trust, whose message makes sense. We're not right for everybody. Not everybody should be our client. I mean, that's just true. That's not an offensive thing, but that's true. Not everybody should. But if you're a good guy with a good heart, good old-fashioned family values, and a healthy respect for women and relationships, you're realistic about age difference, and you're willing to get on the plane and go get your girl, man, you are great for us. And we, my friend, are great for you. So keep watching, keep learning, send your questions to bud@loveme.com. Get on a tour, get out there and have the best travel, romantic experience of your life. Go find your girl. Call us up, ask your questions, and let's move you forward, right? Kirk, thanks for everything. My man behind the scenes. Amazing kid. Couldn't do any of this without him. I so appreciate him very, very much. Guys, thank you. You're my friends and my family, and I really appreciate your being here. It's a favorite part of my week. It really is. Every single week, and that's the truth. We will see you next week at this time. We're going to talk about speed dating, among some other topics. Right, Mel? So stay tuned, guys, all right? We'll see you 1 week from tonight. Have a great week between now and then.